everyone, I'm Ezra Christina Pondalos and I'm a student of English Language Education in Universitas Internasional Batam. Now I want to give you some brief explanation about adapting and adopting materials from John Mecalister. So let's check it out. In this world, there are so many differentiation of language teaching contexts that used by teachers when they are teaching their students. Many teachers work in a situation where the curriculum, the assessment, the materials are centrally imposed, but some teachers also have a free hand to determine the goals, the materials, the assessment, and all other aspects of the course by themselves. And there will be a need for teachers to adapt any already published materials as their reference when they are teaching their students.
Now, the question is, why adapt? The reason why every teacher will need to adapt materials is made evident in the model of language curriculum design. Look at the model of language curriculum design that's shown. As the first step to understand this model is, we should note that the inner circle represents what happened in the classroom, and the outer circles is represent the factor that influence what happened in the classroom. Look at the first circle is about the environment. Environment is capture information about learners, teacher, and learning teaching situation. For example, the information of whether learners share the first language, whether teachers are native speaker or the target language, and how much time is available for teaching the target language in the classroom. As part of environment analysis, the details should be evaluated in order to determine the most relevant variables that need to be addressed in the classroom. Since environment analysis can provide a great deal of information, not every piece of information can be dealt with. The second factor, or the second outer circle, is need analysis. Need analysis is identify what students are currently able to do in the target language and what they should be able to do at the end of the course. Sometimes it is called as the lacks and the needs of the students. The language course will take students from where they are now to a specific and perhaps more in the advanced stage. Need analysis plays an important role in deciding the aim of the course. At the same time, information from the environment analysis can be used to establish a reasonable goal. For example, the amount of time available for teaching the target language may have an impact on the course goal. The last outer circle is principle. Principle is study and theory on language acquisition. Drawing on this work and understanding means that the time required to teach the target language is used as effectively as possible. For example, one principle relates to the frequency and state that a language course should have the best possible coverage of the language in use by providing things that often occur in the language so that the learners can get their best return for their learning effort. The further explanation is, research tells us that the most frequent of the so-called present form modal verbs are can and will. As they are the most frequent, the frequency principle suggests that would receive attention before less frequent forms such as must, may, and shall. But this is not always the case in the course books. The teacher who is aware of the frequency principle may choose to address this. So now, what things to adapt? As I explained before, that inner circle represents what happens in the classroom, so can be considered that there are three segments. The first one is content and sequencing, the second one is format and presentation, and the last one is monitoring and assessing. Each of these supports and leads to the achievement of the course goals.
A change to content and sequencing. In this segment, we'll explain us that as a teacher that adopt a materials, we are also able to change the content of the materials that maybe it is unfamiliar with our environment or with our learners. So for example, we want to adopt the materials about procedure text from Headway series. Headway series, it is from England, that they will make the materials related to the Western culture, related to their environment in England, that is quite different with our culture in Indonesia. So for example, of in the Headway series about procedure text to make a shepherd pie, which is really different with Indonesia, that Indonesian people can don't understand what is shepherd pie. Maybe some of them never know about shepherd pie, what is that. So the content of shepherd pie, we can choose it, we can change it as maybe for Indonesian question like lapis cake, or maybe or to make like nasi goreng, that something that is related to our culture, so our students will be easier to understand about the materials. The way is we want to make our student know about procedure text, what is the step, what is ingredients, and where is the language feature that used in the procedure text. So our student will be able to know and to understand and to make a good procedure text. About the content, it just to make them easier to know the way, to know how to make it. So we when we adopt materials from others, we are able to change it to make our student easier to understand about the materials. A change to format and presentation. It is about the activity that we use in class. So type of activity often found in course book is fill in the blank reading activity. It is a text is present with some words omitted. Usually the missing words are present either in the separate box or in the brackets following with appropriate gap. Typically, the missing words are verbs, and learners are required to fill the gap by putting the missing word in the correct tense. When the missing words are presented in the separate box, the activity is more difficult than when they are placed in the text box because learners have to think about meaning as well as form. In either case, however, the activity is essentially an arithmetical exercise where the meaning of the text is irrelevant, and learners' motivation to complete this activity successfully is probably rather low. The challenge for a teacher is how to transform such unpromising materials. Drawing on the text-based learning, the following series of steps lead to a dramatic transformation of the activity as the teacher reads the story to the learners. In reading the story, the teacher fill all the gaps. And then in pair, the learners compare and check their understanding. Next, teacher read again the story for the second time. Then in the small group, learners rewrite the story. Learners read the other group stories, and then at the follow-up activity, the teacher may focus directly on the target verb forms. One possibility may be to ask the learners to complete the original gap fill text. So the reason for approaching the activity in this way is draw very strongly on the principal order circle. A change to monitoring and assessment.
Teachers need to know whether or not learning is happening, and they need to know this is on a regular basis as to inform their teaching. A simple example that teachers can incorporate into their teaching is quick spelling test at the start of each lesson. This may be a means of reinforcing target vocabulary introduced in the course book or from some other sources. A second example of a simple addition that teacher can make to their classroom practice in order to monitor learning is an activity known as say and do. It works best with the learning of discrete items such as letters or shapes or numbers. In this respect, it is relevant across the curriculum. The principal's outer circle again provides some justification for using such an activity. As with spelling test, it embodies the space retrieval or repetition principle. Another important principle that it draws on is that of fluency. A language course should provide activities aimed at increasing the fluency with which learner can use the language they already know, both receptively and productively. Perhaps it is important to draw attention to the words language they already know. Activities like this are not designed for introducing new language but to reinforce what has already been taught. Adopting materials. So in the same way that the model of language curriculum design shown before can be used to inform decision about adapting materials. So it can inform decision about what to adapt. The biggest investment is often the choice of a course book, and so it is important to make the best possible decision, because while we are choosing a course book, we should consider several things, that the cost of the book, because students need to buy the book also, and then the materials that consist in the book, in the course book, is it appropriate with the student needs or not. So there are ideally such as important decision would be taken in a less time preserved manner, but whether there are days, weeks or months available in which to materials, the information provided by the outer circle remains critical. So as the conclusion of decision to adapt and adopt teaching materials lies a model of language curriculum design. It is intended to be a dynamic model. Decisions once taken always remain open to challenge and change. The model teachers are acquainted with familiarity with a curriculum design model and an understanding of how the components in that model work together can play a key role in ensuring that teachers or course designers make suitable informed decisions about the teaching that occurs in the classroom. That's all my explanation about adapting and adopting materials from John Mecalister. Thank you for watching me and goodbye.